Unleashing the power of your pets. Power. Talk radio with bites. We're Pet Life Radio, the #1 pet radio network. Let's talk pets.
Okay. And good morning or good afternoon, as the case may be, wherever you happen to be this morning or this afternoon. I am your host here for the next 30 minutes, Dr. Jeff Werber, host of Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff here on Pet Life Radio. And we're here for you. We're here to talk about pets, whatever you want to talk about. That's a good thing. We have a great guest today. So we have a specific topic we're going to touch on. We'd love to hear from you. A couple of easy ways to get a hold of us. One, pick up the phone, 877-385-8882. Once again, 877-385-8882. You can also join us on Google Hangouts. That's really cool. So just click on the Pet Life Radio website, petliferadio.com. It's an easy. You go on the tab, Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff for the show, Google Hangout, and it's a link. Just click on the link, follow the Hangout. Hopefully you can easily get in, and you can sit there. We can see you. We can see your pet. If you want to show us your pet, if you have that little skin lesion, that little dirty ear, whatever it is you want us to look at, we can do that as well. We want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to be here with you, ProSense Pet Products and Elanco Lilly, makers of Comfortis and Trifexis, Save This Life Microchip, and Kong Veterinary Products. So if you're out there, if you want some really, really good stuff for your pet, you can ask for Kong Veterinary Products. Anyway, our special guest today, we've had her on a while back. It's time that we have her back. And, I actually wanted to have her back several weeks ago. Just couldn't still, because I had a really difficult week. And when you're in practice for a long time, and this is my 3rd year, you can imagine the relationships that you build up with your clients, and how many of our patients, my patients, I have to say goodbye to. And it's a little different in veterinary medicine in that we don't usually have that case where the client calls you in the morning and says, Buffy passed last night. That would be wonderful if it happened that way. It usually doesn't. We need to intervene. And it's one of the most difficult decisions, not only for you, but for us as a veterinarian to help guide you. It's a very, very tough decision. And I just had a really tough week in that I had one client come in. They had 2 dogs. They were the Shiba Inus. They were 15 and a half, which is great. And we put them down both the same day at the same time. That was really tough on them. I mean, you go from 2 wonderful dogs to 0, just like that. And then I had, in 1 week, which is unusual for me, I had 5 euthanasias. And the difficult part is that first of all, it's tough in general. It's so sad. When children are involved, it makes it even more difficult. And I do something that I started years ago. We've talked about this, I'm sure, many times on the show, but I started doing house call euthanasias. In fact, it's the #1 request I have for house calls is to come and put pets to sleep. So you can imagine when I met our guest several years ago and found out what she does, I was extremely intrigued. And here with us today, again, is Dr. Danny McVitie, who is the founder and owner of Lap of Love. And the Lap of Love is a veterinary hospice and house call euthanasia service. And Danny, what made you get into this? I mean, here I am trying to save the lives. How'd this happen?
You said it right there. People want it. People are requesting it. And it's interesting. You talk to other veterinarians that are in our profession, and they get it immediately when they hear what we do, because it's the most requested house call, and most importantly, because this is where most of us, or this is where all of us should practice, is where would you want it done for your own pet? Literally, where would you want to put your own pet down? And almost it's not a veterinarian or technician or veterinary professional that I've ever talked to that has said, yeah, I would bring my own pet to the clinic. That sounds like the best. So no, and I was doing emergency medicine when I first graduated, and as I said before, I volunteered for human hospice when I was in college. So it was this natural affinity towards kind of end of life care. I was great at talking people through the decision, and it's a special skill that not everybody has at the same level. And not only did I have it, but I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it very much. So going to homes and being in the home with people at their most difficult moment is it's a huge honor, and I don't dread it. People think that we do, but I don't. I love it in a way.
And now, how often? So let's talk about Lap of Love for a minute. So you and Mary, Dr. Mary, a friend of yours from vet school, start this company. And did you think that it would become as popular as it is?
Oh my gosh, it was a side gig for me. Graduating vet school, it was a side thing that I was going to be able to do to help pay my student loans back. And doing emergency medicine, I had a few hours during the day when I could, when I could fit something else in, since I was working at night. But I had no idea what it was going to turn into. Not a clue. And within a year, I had partnered up with Dr. Mary, who helped us write our practice management software. And then within another year after that, and then I together, we brought it to over 80 doctors around the country now, 4 years later. But we've got a big network that keeps growing. So no, I had no idea what it was going to turn into. I knew that it was important. I didn't know how important it was, and I didn't know how many vets also wanted to do it, but just didn't know how to do it. So those are the two things that surprised me. And
so how are you received with the veterinarians in the community? Do they look at you like, oh my God, they're going to take our business away because they're going to become a house call practice?
My non-PC answer to that is the good ones get it. The doctors that really understand what we're doing, they get it immediately. I had one doctor that's in my area, in the Tampa Bay area. I was at a meeting about 6-8 months ago, and she came up to me and she's like, Danny, I'm so thankful that you guys are there, and thank you so much for taking care of our families. And it's so nice that you can handle the euthanasia or the end of life in hospice or whatever we end up doing well in the home, and that when the client comes back, they're rejuvenated and they healed properly, and they're back in our clinic like with a puppy because everything went so well, and they don't feel like they were damaged throughout the process. And she actually told me, the same doctor, she's like, when you first started, I didn't really get it. She's like, many of us in the area didn't really get what a value it was going to be, but I'm so thankful that you're here and for our clients, and that's the response that I literally get from clinics in my area is thank you. It's a thank you for being there when they can't be there. And some doctors are able to go like you. Some doctors can go to the home, and that's wonderful and that's great. But what I dislike hearing is when a doctor says, yeah, we go to the home also, but only for our best clients, or only for the ones that have been with us for a long time. And I think all of our clients are our best clients. Everybody's there. We love everybody. And if you can't make it out for scheduling, because that's really difficult for a general practitioner. I mean, the fact that you even do it is like astounding. That's very difficult. And most of our calls are within 24 hours notice. So I can tell you that it takes a very short amount of time for doctors in an area to understand what we're doing and the value of what we're doing.
It's true. You say that because I have, my clients know that I will go out, and I will tell you that most of my house call euthanasias are taking place sometime between 9 p.m. and midnight, because I'm swamped today, and they know it, and they would rather wait for me. It's amazing you talk about relationships and how interesting people are, and I'm sure many of you listening will get this as well. But I've had clients where I've developed a relationship with early on in their pet's life, and then they move. They move to another state nearby. They move up to San Francisco, whatever, and I will get a call sometimes 10 years later. Doc, we want to bring him down because it's time, and we want you to do it. He's never bonded to a veterinarian like he did with you. And another thing a couple of things come to mind that I look at the value of what you're doing is that, first of all, how many thank notes do I get? Not because I did that great surgery, not because I pulled him through that pancreatitis, but when I went to the house to say goodbye and to help them move on. And it's unbelievable. They appreciate, by the way, writing notes, and I tell veterinarians all the time when I speak, I'm sure you do the same. You send a condolence note. It's the nicest thing. We also make a paw print. There's so many things. Make a donation to a charity in their pet's memory. Those little things And the flip side of that is, and this is very important, and again, I'm sure that many of you out there could relate. If the experience, regardless of the relationship you've had with this veterinarian, at the end was not smooth and beautiful and peaceful, it will ruin that relationship, and they will not come back to the vet for when they get their next pet. And I've seen that. Now, sometimes it's more of an emotional thing, and this is another reason why I like it, is they walk into it, and there was nothing wrong, everything went great, but they just can't go back into that room, or sometimes they can't go back into that hospital because of the pain associated with with that euthanasia. So to have it done off-site in someone's home could actually save the relationship that you have with your client. So,
how many of your clients, Dr. Jeff, have written on their paperwork, cannot go into exam room 2?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. So and it's like it brings back those bad memories. Mm-hmm. And we even have, and I know that a lot of hospitals out there are doing this now. We even have a euthanasia room that we, it's with a couch and it doesn't have a table. We have a table, but it's a fold-down table. It's up against the wall, and we don't need it. And it's just that it's calm and it's peaceful and it's nice and it's got flowers and it's. When we even have to do it there, so we put them on the floor, we bring in a big blanket, and we all sit down on the blanket together. We try to make it like the living room. But I have to tell you that there is no better way. And when I did this, by the way, and I know you know the story, Danny, but it was totally accidental. We didn't do this. I went to work for an old geezer. They came in and we put him to sleep. It was like 1, 2, 3. So oftentimes we didn't even offer, when I first started practice, the guy didn't even want to do it in front of the owner. He would take the dog to the back, which was, I guess that was the old way to do it. And that never sat well with me. But anyway, I get his call. It was an old lady. Her husband had passed away. She lived in an apartment. And the dog was the German Shepherd that must have been, 13, 14 years old. Couldn't even get up anymore. She was in tears because she couldn't get anybody to help her put the dog in the car. And I can hear her angst. I can hear the sadness in her voice. I said, you know what? If you don't mind until after work, I'll come over to your house and I'll do it, and I will bring the body back and we'll have him cremated. She was so appreciative, just the gesture. We're going back 20 years, 25 years when this happened. And I went over to the house, and there was the dog lying on the bed, right in his favorite room, which was the living room. And there was Mom. And it was the most amazing, peaceful moment for all of us. And that's when it hit me. I said, oh my God, this is the way to do it. Even, my dogs love coming in. My patients love coming in to see me, and I get more tongue than anybody I know, and they're jumping all over me, and they greet me in the waiting room, and they're really, they love coming in. However, there's got to be that nervousness, that angst, that fear when they come in. They hear the other animals, they hear the vocalizations, they get the smells. That why would you want their last minutes on this earth with us to be that? And when you do it at home, it's so much more peaceful. I'm sure you feel the same. I'm sure you found the same thing.
Oh, it's amazing. Yep. And the thank you, just like you said, you don't get, as a veterinarian, you don't generally get the thank you card for the 2 a.m. Radical surgery you just did, because that's expected of you, and especially when I was doing emergency, and that was expected. But what's not expected is to handle something with peace and calm and love and compassion and empathy. And coming into the home, I'm always amazed how many people thank us for coming to the home. It's like, that's what we do. Of course, my service, it's like that's in my company name, is in-home hospice and euthanasia. But they literally thank us. I'm like, of course. It reminds us of what is really important to people, and when you're able to really give them what they really, really want, it's very, very meaningful. Very meaningful.
Absolutely. So we have to take a break. When I come back, we're going to talk about some of the more difficult parts of euthanasia in general, and that is our clients look to us for advice.
Yeah.
When's the right time? How do you tell? Are we doing the right thing? And we get this all the time. And these are not easy questions, and the answers are very challenging. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. When I invited Danny to come back on, I gave her a scenario, and we want to just talk about how do we help you make that decision? It's a very tough decision, regardless of when you're going to make it. So don't go away. We'll be back after these short messages. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, Dr. Danny McVitie. here on Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. Don't go away.
Collins. Collins, what's the matter? Do what? I can't do this anymore. This is almost done. Look.
Common household allergens.
You have chocolate. Baby, listen.
And water ions. Growth are better and
All day play and overnight camp. Daycare for dogs. Everything is included. Large play areas for fun and exercise. Cabins, comfy cots, even live camper cams. Bauer offers the best care and where a dog can be. For more information, visit Camp Bauer. It's designer sweaters for your precious things. Patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports themed. Sweaters include vest hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front puff sleeves, and leaf openings. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Large orders.
Oh, no. No, Mama, no.
Latest trends at How about Irish Center? Celebrity Pet Patter right here. Pet Life Radio. Dog Pets. Let's talk. Pet Life Radio.
Stop. How much longer do I have?
We have about 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes.
I'm gonna do this tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, welcome back, and we are here live with Dr. Danny McVitie and her kids, as you might hear in the background. And we were talking about some of the difficulties we have when it comes time to putting pets to sleep. And the owners usually don't know when is the right time. And how do we know when the right time is, when the not the right time is? And typically clients ask for us, Doc, are we doing the right thing? This is where it really becomes challenging, because we have to know that there's no right answer. The right answer is really what's right for you. Some of the things that we talk about that we have to watch out, we have to understand. I usually say there's the 80-20 rule. That means that 20% of the clients are making the wrong move. 80% of the time, it's totally up to them. For example, when we have a dog that comes in, and I've had this before, where they truly are not ready. The dog is fine. The dog maybe have a limp. It has a tough time getting up, but once it's up, it's fine. It is animated. It's cleaning itself. It's able to go outside, and the owner is convinced that the dog's in pain. And I'm looking at this pet, and I'm saying, Mrs. Smith, this dog, I don't think it's a pain. I once got to the situation very early on where I ended up putting a pet to sleep, not really wanting to do it. And it was like probably one of my first euthanasias where I clearly looked at the pet and it was not the right thing to do. So I tried to convince the woman to, let's do it, it's not something you want to see. I'll do it in the back. And when I do it in the back, she won't know and everything will be fine. Well, guess what? She goes, no, doctor, I want to be there. I want to be there. So I ended up not knowing that I had a choice because I was working for somebody and this woman wanted to put the pet to sleep. I ended up doing it and it haunted me forever. It was the worst experience. And I vowed at that time that I am not going to put a pet to sleep that I don't believe should be put to sleep. I'm going to push when I believe the pet is truly suffering, truly in pain. The most difficult thing for an owner sometimes is to see when the pet is truly in pain, truly suffering, and this is what you kind of have to put your foot down. But the 80% is where most of us are, and that is that we, you based on whatever criteria you want to use, you know that you think it's time. And I can't argue. I mean, if you said to me, could we wait another, few weeks? Could we do a little bit? And I would say, yeah, we can. Can we, is it something we have to do right now? I won't stop you if you want to do it. And if you want to wait a little bit, I don't think this pet is suffering. If you can, just as long as you can put up with helping him outside or getting up what needs to, cleaning up after him, et cetera, then I'm okay with it if you're okay with it. So it becomes really at that point, and I say most of the time it's a personal choice. And I find that all clients need, when we're in that 80% zone, pet owners want confirmation from you, from the doctor. They want to make sure that it's okay, that doctor, am I making the right move? Am I making that choice? And I would often tell them that no, I think that you are making the right choice, and you're not wrong if you don't do it, and if you're not wrong if you follow through with it. It's the only ones that I would put my foot down are ones that I just don't think. If I would feel guilty putting an animal to sleep, then it's not time. And one of the things that I know, it's a perspective that, and Danny, I think you said it many a time. Something about you can always make the mistake of waiting too long, but you can never make the mistake of doing it a little bit early. And you've seen, I'm sure you've seen people, you've gone to the house and the dog doesn't look so bad, but all of a sudden you start talking to them about the lifestyle and what the pet used to do and what can it no longer do, and then you realize that there's a lot of angst there. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, it's you guys, so sorry.
You can talk and work at the same time. That's okay with us. We're a cool, casual show here.
They were not supposed to I was supposed to have someone helping out at this time, so so I apologize for having such a delicate conversation at this time. But what I always say is it's better to help a friend a day too early than a moment too late. So it's Jeff. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. No, guys. No.
Okay, my kids were that young at one point.
Oh my gosh, it's very interesting. So, my goodness. Okay, much better. It's a big deal for me because I don't think that anyone should be practicing veterinary medicine except the veterinarian. The veterinarian is the one that practices medicine, and our clients don't have to. It is not their decision to make a euthanasia choice, just like it's not their decision to do an MRI, right? It's the veterinarian's decision, and then the client signs on with that because it's what we've recommended. So I highly dislike the statement, you are doing the right thing. Because to clients, the statement that a veterinarian says, you are doing right. They're not doing anything. We are making the decision to do the best thing that we can possibly do at that moment. And what I have absolutely seen with people time and time again, I mean, Jeff, you said, you did five in one day one time, and I've done 9 in one day before. And thousands now, many, it's all that I do. But I have never seen somebody that has said, I did it too soon. It's always, I did it too late. Always, I did it too late. So
I am one of those people, by the way, with one of my cats, and it was my son's favorite cat, and we hung in there, and he would have some good days, and every time he had a good day, we'd keep, and finally, when we finally put him to sleep, my son said to me, Dad, we waited too long.
Wow.
Oh my God, did that get me? So,
That is powerful, especially
yeah,
for your son to say it.
I
You know,
know.
that's
So,
that is
and it
because you
does.
want
It
that
changes the
written note.
perspective now. Now I
Yeah,
know what
right.
clients are going through.
You're
Absolutely.
waiting for a written note. You're like, and I had to send it to a client one time. I was like, I know you're waiting for a written note, from your pet, and this lady goes, I know, I've been looking all over for it. I've been looking all over for that note. I just can't find it.
Right.
You
So, but I think a lot of times, though, when you go over there, are clients asking for validation? So when they say,
Oh,
Doc, am I doing the right thing? How do you answer that?
yeah. You know what I say? We are doing the best thing. And when I walk in there, first of all, and I would never answer that question if somebody has me go in, and of course I don't have long-term relationships with these clients like you do. So we start from a different place. And just like you had that strange feeling that one day and ended up having to go through with it, I've had that feeling when I've walked into homes before, and I see this dog, and I remember it was one time this dog runs up to me and is greeting me, and I'd only been out of school for a couple months at this point. So I don't have a whole lot of experience, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not going to be that case that Dr. Werber told me about that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. This is not going to be it. But I calmed down, and in my mind, of course, the client would never know any of this, but I sat down with them, and they, well, tell me what's going on. How's he doing today? How's this going? Yada, yada. And within a few minutes of just sitting there, the dog had gone from this spry little guy that's jumping up and running around to completely just laying on his side. You could tell the way he was breathing and holding himself that he was in pain. And, so just so I saw a moment of happiness, there was also all the other moments of the day were difficult. And that's why the client was having me there in the first place. So immediately, when I saw that, I was like, no, we're doing the best thing that we can possibly do. And there isn't a perfect moment. And it's so funny to me with what you said with validation, even when it's obvious to us as a veterinarian, like obvious that this is the very best thing that we can do. Dogs on oxygen, right? Like literally dying in front of us. And the client is still needing that validation from us. Still, this is absolutely the best thing we can do. And you see their whole body change. They relax. There's a relief sigh that they give. And that's what I tell other doctors that all the time, that you have to give that validation. Even if you think the client doesn't want it or need it, you still give it, and it still means a lot to them.
I had a case not too long ago, actually, that was not one of my clients. So I know exactly what you meant, but the person who called me was a client who I've done this for and said, my friend is in a situation, and she thinks it's time. So, as a favor to my client, I went over and same scenario. I walk in, and this dog was up and wagging its tail, greeting me, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, this does not... Anyway, after the dog settled, I was just excited to see a new person, and once we sat down, and then I saw exactly what you said. I saw the dog, and I saw what the owner saw, and it was almost that burst of energy, the adrenaline flowing, and this dog was almost like that last burst. And as we're sitting there, I was there for about, probably 45 minutes. But within 15 minutes, I could see, okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
And we did. And another thing is that sometimes when you start messing with a dog it could be like lying on its side, and you think, oh my God, this is going to be a piece of cake. And all of a sudden you start messing with him. You're trying to find the vein. You're shaving, whatever it is, and you see this dog like, oh, wait a second, he's got life after all. But no, I think it's an amazing service. I think people have, as important as it is for us to appreciate how these pets are in life, and it's equally as important to appreciate how they are towards the end of life.
Yeah.
And what is amazing is you're only as good, and like sports, as your last basket, your last home run, whatever it is. So when you think about it, no matter how the relationship has been, how this pet has been, how you have gotten along with this pet or the owner throughout life, if there's a bad experience at the end, it can be devastating. So I think that that's something to also keep in mind. So for any of you out there, I know that hopefully everyone is a listener here, has pets, appreciates the relationship that we have with our pets, and knows, if you haven't already, at some point, it's going to be time to say goodbye. I would highly encourage, for your pet's sake especially, and even for your sake, to think about doing something like this at home. either with your own veterinarian if they do that. If not, calling a service like a Lap of Love. I know Lap of Love is in many, many cities. We have actually one of my former associates is now a Lap of Love veterinarian, and loves it. And it's I can call her if I can't make it, if the timing doesn't work, if it's the middle of the day and I can never get away in the middle of the day, I can call Tina and get things taken care of. So, and Mary's now in Southern California too, so it makes it very convenient. Anyway, Dr. McVitie, thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for putting up with us, even with your kids around.
I'm sorry. Thanks for putting up with me. We're going to go have a conversation after this about what I mean.
All right. Anyway, thanks again for joining. Thanks all of you for out there. I'm going to be going to Super Zoo in about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So we're going to hopefully come back with a lot of interesting new products to talk about, which I'll bring on the show, and that should be pretty cool. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. We will be here. Am I going to be here next week? Yes, I'm going to be here next week. So we will talk some more. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to talk about, any subject matter, whatever the case may be, get a hold of me, drjeff@petliferadio.com or drjeff@drjeff, drjeff@drjeff.com, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. If you want to send photos, and next week and any week, come join us live. Again, 877-385-8882, or you can join us on Google Hangout. The link is on the Pet Life page under Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff tab. Once again, thanks to ProSense, thanks to Kong Veterinary Products and Elanco Lilly and Save This Life Microchip. And again, thanks to Lap of Love and Dr. Dana McVitie. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.